So in previous videos, I've been talking about the SumProduct function and how we can have a criteria and then multiply values by something else and add them up. So as you see here, the total sales for April, 1 month only. This is what we have here. If the text in column C, which are just text values to describe the month, if they equal April, multiply the values in column D by the values in column E. So you can watch previous videos where I describe that. But then the question comes up, what are the total sales as long as the month is April or January? So it doesn't matter, it can be either one. If either one is true, for whatever reason, that's your criteria. If it's April or January, you want to multiply the values in column D by the values in column E, and then add them up, the sum of the products. So, how does this thing work? Well, look at that little plus symbol. That's the key right there. This plus symbol is telling Excel, as long as column C is April or January, then that's fine. Give me a true, and then multiply the value from column D by the value in column E. The other thing to take note of is the extra bracket here. See that extra bracket right there and over here. You definitely need those so that Excel evaluates this part in here first. I'm kind of making a mess here, but it does this part first. Is it either April or January? So let's take a look over here. So this is January, that's true. Another January, April, and April. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Whenever it's true that it's either January or April, get the value in column D multiplied by the value in column E. So we get this one, 3 times 15, 5 times 11. Skip February, it does not qualify. 3 times 12, I think you're getting the picture, right? This one's out, that one's out. 4 times 15, 5 times 10. This one is also out, this one is out, doesn't qualify. So do the math on all of these, add them up, and here's the answer we're getting after we do all of that. Now we could also, the long way of doing this, think of how much time this would take. You'd have to say equals D11 multiplied by E11. Copy this only to the parts where we want it copied. This guy is coming with us here. Let's just erase that. And one more time. And then at the bottom, we have to add these up. Now, the long way would be to highlight one by one and put the comma in the middle, but I'm just going to highlight the range. There's nothing else in there. So I add that up. That's 246, but that's a really long way and tedious way of doing it. Imagine if you had hundreds or thousands of rows. So let's just get rid of this. It's 246. Same thing we have there. The next part, this is getting even more complex, but it's good to know. Let's add another criteria. So now I'm going to say, as long as it's April or January, as we see here for the month, we'll highlight this part. Excel does this first. As long as one of those is true, then we're saying, and this has to also be true. Look at this, the right function. So it's looping through here. Now we're finally using the product. And let me just get rid of all these guys, because now it's a little bit different, so I'll show you. Now we're also saying that the right one character of the product has to be a 9. So let's just turn this back on. Now that's not so messy. So the right function typically it only has one reference to a cell. But here, because we're looking at groups of cells, it's saying, look at all of column B. Is the last one character, so here we have the 1, I only want to extract the rightmost character, which is in these cells all the way down. if it's a 9, if it's equal to a 9, then that also is true. And that's part of the criteria now. So this is one part, one of those two things. We've got the plus symbol. And this has to be true. It has to be a 9 at the end. So this one is now out. This one is good so far. No, that's out. This one is good because it's a 9 and it's April. No, that one's out. This one is a 9 and March. Well, we don't care about March, so that's out. That's the A at the end, even though it's April. No. Here's a 9. That's April. This is a yes. And that's all we have. So basically what we're getting is 5 times 11, 3 times 12, and 5 times 10. So once again, if we do this manually, we're coming in here and saying equals 5 times 11. What's the next one? 3 times 12 and 5 times 10. We come down here and we add them up. This is the manual way, but just to double check, which is good to do. And I had to hit F9 to calculate. So here is bold and underline 141, because we only want these three. We click in here, 5 times 11, press escape, 3 times 12, 5 times 10, add them up. But we don't want to do it the long way. We do it really quickly with the sum product, where we put in our logic, our requirements, and we can always change this later on. But either April or January, the right character has to be a 9 in column B all the way down, and then when it's true, multiply D by E. So one last thing is that you will see another way to write these things. What you can do is put two minus signs, which sort of, I guess you could describe it as they cancel each other out, and it converts the true and the false to ones and zeros. So we see it here, and we also see it there. So I've taken each example from here at the top, and I've just changed the syntax. Once again, we're getting these, which replace the asterisks, and then I'm getting the OR symbol is still the same. And over here we're getting this to change the true and false to ones and zeros. And I did the same thing down here at the bottom. So April or January, the next criteria has to be the right one character down here has to be a 9. And then finally we're saying, okay, when that's true, one of those two, this one or that one, and it's the right character is the right one character is a 9, multiply the value in column D by E and simply add up the numbers. Now obviously this is getting much more advanced, and I highly recommend, if you prefer to read about it and you have a big cup of coffee, read this article by Chandu or this article here. This one is quite long, but it's probably the one that I would recommend if you really want to know exactly how it works. This article by Chandu is great if you want to get going with it and see it in front of you written out.